Welcome to this expert mini-module on curriculum-based measurement, or CBM, in reading. In Project Expert, we're developing and testing a program to support teacher expertise in data-based instruction and improve outcomes for upper elementary students with persistent reading challenges. We have 3 guiding questions for this module. Throughout this module, we'll think through content related to overviewing curriculum-based measurement. We'll discuss what these data do and do not tell us. Lastly, we'll also explore what measures are used in reading. Curriculum-based measures, or CBM, are brief time measures drawn from grade-level content to capture proficiency on key skill indicators. We give these at regular intervals, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, to show student progress toward goals. Importantly, CBMs measure the same skills and level of difficulty each time so that we can reliably compare progress. The purpose of CBM is to monitor student progress, evaluate the effectiveness of an intervention, and determine whether our instruction may need to be adjusted to align better with student needs. Research has demonstrated that when teachers use CBM to inform their instructional decision-making, students learn more, teacher decision-making improves, and students are more aware of their own performance. CBM data is beneficial to collect because CBM data has the potential to show even small changes in performance. As Hosp can note, even when a struggling reader is making some progress, it's often hard to see and difficult to document. CBMs address this concern by providing a useful snapshot of a student's growth that can detect even small changes from week to week. Being able to detect changes or lack of changes allows teachers to make more informed decisions about their instruction. CBMs also allow us to track students over time. And lastly, seeing changes can serve as encouragement for teachers, students, and families when growth is present. Secondly, CBM graphs help teachers to spot students who are not making progress. An instructional change may not be immediately necessary, but graphs can help a teacher notice if a student's progress is leveling off or performance is slipping. Having that information helps the teacher prepare a plan in the event the pattern continues. Lastly, the immediate feedback provided by CBM graphs helps teachers manage their instructional time more efficiently. A teacher can spend less time with a student who is making good progress and give more assistance to a student who may be struggling. Or, knowing if a student is progressing or not means we're wasting less precious time on instructional approaches that aren't working. When considering CBM use, it's important to have an understanding of what CBMs cannot tell us. CBMs cannot tell us how instruction should change. This is left to other data sources and the teacher's professional judgment. While CBMs are very helpful for telling us when instruction should change, we need to rely on other information to figure out how. CBMs also cannot tell us the required dosage of an intervention, or the type of environment the individual student needs in order to make progress. Let's take a moment to reflect on CBM data. If you need a bit more time, pause the video to think about these questions. How do you use CBM data in your educational setting? How does the CBM data you currently use inform your instruction or meet the needs of your struggling students? So how do we collect CBM data in reading? First, we need to determine what CBM measure to use. Our CBM measure should align with the target skill we want to measure and the grade level of our student. This table illustrates common CBM measures that may be used across grade levels. However, specific measure names and grade ranges will vary with CBM system. For the purposes of this module, we'll focus on 2 common CBMs for upper elementary grades, which include Oral Reading Fluency, or ORF, and Maze Fluency. ORF is the most commonly used CBM in reading, so we'll focus on this measure first. What is fluency? A student who is a fluent reader reads with accuracy, automaticity, and prosody. In the context of ORF, accuracy is a student who is correctly decoding and reading words aloud. For fluent reading, we want students to demonstrate a 100% accuracy or close to it. automaticity refers to the efficiency and speed with which the reader decodes. An automatic reader is someone who can draw upon their decoding strategies effortlessly so that cognitive resources can be focused elsewhere, such as on comprehension. An automatic reader reads at an appropriate rate or pace. Prosody refers to a student reading with expression and intonation, such as using pitch, timing, and pauses as appropriate, such as around punctuation. ORF data provides a snapshot of a student's general reading proficiency. More specifically, to read a text quickly and accurately, like we're asking in ORF CBMs, you must use a variety of skills, including decoding, vocabulary and language skills, and reading comprehension. Fluency is foundational for comprehension. As you can see in the quote, efficient and automatic word recognition frees up cognitive resources to devote to other higher-level thought processes, such as comprehension. Think of a student who decodes sound by sound. Because of the tremendous attention they're devoting to decoding all the pieces of a sentence, that student has less free resources to consider the meaning of the sentence. Thus, fluency is foundational. Oral reading fluency probes are administered individually. The student has a student copy of the probe, and the teacher has an examiner copy. As the student reads aloud for 1 minute, the teacher marks their copy, then calculates the total correct words read. The teacher then graphs that data to use it. This is an example ORF passage with what it might look like with teacher's markings. Typically, lines crossed out or skipped by the student, and words slashed or read incorrectly. Let's take a moment to reflect on ORF. If you need a bit more time, pause the video to think about these questions. To what extent does the information presented so far align with how you currently use ORF? What useful information can you gain from using ORF probes? And then, what additional skills do you think are required in learning to be fluent in reading? Another common option for CBM in reading for upper elementary students is CBM Maze Fluency. We won't spend as much time in discussing this type of CBM since it's not as commonly used as ORF, but we'll provide a brief explanation and example. With Maze, students independently read a passage and tap into their comprehension to fill in select missing words. Maze is typically used in the beginning of grade 4, but this may vary. Fluency on a Maze passage typically indicates a student's overall progress in reading. So Maze measures can be thought of as more similar to reading comprehension measures, and their use in the classroom somewhat aligns with the shift in upper elementary of moving away from building oral reading fluency to using fluent reading to analyze narratives and expository text. And so it's important to note that Maze is less relevant for measuring those initial reading skills. Here's an example completed Maze fluency passage. As you can see on Maze measures, typically every 7th word is replaced with a blank and 3 possible replacements. Students must choose which word makes sense in the blank. And then they have multiple minutes to read the passage independently and circle as many correct answers as they can. You might see how fluency and comprehension are both required for a student to correctly decode the sentence and also understand what goes in the blank. Let's review CBMs. CBM data are useful for observing small changes in performance. We can also use CBMs to identify struggling students and evaluate how we're using our instructional time. We can track students and their progress over time, and we can systematically capture a repertoire of their skills that reflect proficiency in reading. However, CBMs are not useful for telling us how instruction should change. We need other data sources and our own clinical judgment in order to come to that conclusion. CBM can also not tell us the required dosage of the intervention in order to make adequate progress. It also does not tell us about the environment that the student needs in order to make good progress. Let's take a moment to reflect on this module. If you need a bit more time, pause the video to think about these questions. How does the information provided in this module impact how you will use CBMs in reading in the future? How can you apply this knowledge to your own classroom setting? Let's review our guiding questions. What is curriculum-based measurement? CBMs are brief, standardized reading probes that capture small changes in performance. They also tell us about a student's proficiency on key reading indicators. CBM data tell us, most importantly, a student's proficiency on key reading indicators and their progress over time. However, these data do not tell us how instruction should change, the dosage the student needs, or the type of environment that would support this student. What measures are used in reading? ORF and Maze are two of the most common types of reading CBMs, especially for upper elementary students. Thank you for your time and engagement during this mini training module. Check out our Project Expert YouTube channel for other mini modules and resources to support data-based decision-making in reading. Don't forget to like and subscribe. For questions about Project Expert, please contact the Principal Investigator, Dr. Jessica Tost, at the University of Texas at Austin. Dr. Tost's email is jrtost@austin.utexas.edu. Project Expert is supported by a grant from the Institute of Education Sciences, U.S. Department of Education.